Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today, I want to tell you a story that might change the way you think about aging, food, and health. This is the story of Margaret Thompson, a 68-year-old woman from Ohio who thought she was doing everything right when it came to her health. She wasn't overweight. She didn't eat a lot of junk food. She walked a little every day. But over time, things started changing. She felt exhausted all the time, even after a full night's sleep. Her joints ached, making it harder to move around. Walking up the stairs left her feeling out of breath. She noticed her memory wasn't as sharp as it used to be. She chalked it up to getting older. "I guess this is just part of aging," she told herself. But one day, she had a wake-up call that changed everything. And that's what I want to share with you today. By the end of this video, you'll understand the diet mistake Margaret was making that was ruining her health. The simple change that reversed her symptoms in just a few months. How you can apply these lessons to stay strong, sharp, and energized, even into your 70s, 80s, and beyond. Let's get started. 1. The wake-up call. Margaret had always been a strong, independent woman. She raised 3 kids while working full-time, managed a household, and was known in her community as the woman who never slowed down. But now, at 68, she found herself struggling with even the smallest tasks. One morning, she went grocery shopping like she always did. As she pushed the cart down the aisles, she started feeling lightheaded. Her legs felt weak. Her hands started trembling. She grabbed onto the cart for support, but then everything went blurry. The next thing she knew, a store employee was kneeling beside her, asking, "Ma'am, are you okay?" She had nearly fainted in the middle of the store. An ambulance wasn't necessary, but her daughter insisted she see a doctor. And that's when she got the news that shook her to her core. The doctor's diagnosis. Her doctor ran a full set of tests. When he came back with the results, he didn't look happy. "Margaret, we need to talk." Her cholesterol was dangerously high. Her blood pressure was through the roof. She was on the verge of developing type 2 diabetes. If she didn't make serious changes, she was at risk for a heart attack, a stroke, permanent memory loss. "Margaret, if you don't change your lifestyle, you're looking at serious health complications in the next few years," the doctor warned. That night, Margaret lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She had spent her whole life taking care of others. But now, who was taking care of her? She wasn't ready to lose her energy, independence, and sharp mind. She wasn't ready to become a burden on her kids. And most of all, she wasn't ready to give up on living a full life. She knew she had to make a change. But she had no idea where to start. 2. The Mediterranean discovery. Margaret had tried dieting before. She had cut out carbs, sugar, fat, you name it. But no matter what she tried, nothing worked. Either she felt miserable while dieting, or the weight and her symptoms came right back. One night, while scrolling online, she stumbled upon an article titled, "Why People in Greece and Italy Live Longer Than Anyone Else." She clicked. And what she read shocked her. There were places in the world, like Icaria, Greece, and Sardinia, Italy, where people were living well into their 90s and even 100s. Not just living, thriving. They were still walking miles every day, cooking their own meals, dancing, laughing, and enjoying life well into old age. And the secret? Their diet. They weren't following extreme weight loss plans. They weren't cutting out entire food groups. They were simply eating real, whole, unprocessed foods. And this way of eating had a name: the Mediterranean diet. Margaret had heard about it before, but this time she really paid attention, because study after study showed that the Mediterranean diet lowers cholesterol and blood pressure, reduces the risk of heart disease and stroke, prevents cognitive decline and memory loss, keeps muscles strong, preventing falls and fractures. Margaret thought, what do I have to lose? So the next morning, she cleaned out her kitchen and started fresh. Here's what she changed. Margaret's new diet. The 5 simple swaps. 1. Olive oil instead of buttered, for healthier fats. 2. Whole grains instead of white bread and pasta, for better blood sugar control. 3. Fresh vegetables with every meal, for vitamins and fiber. 4. More fish, less red meat, for heart-healthy protein. 5. Nuts and berries instead of processed snacks, to curb cravings without the sugar spikes. At first, it was an adjustment. She missed her old habits. She craved her usual sweet treats and fried foods. But she told herself, give it 30 days. Just try. And that's when everything started to change. 3. The transformation begins. Margaret had spent nearly 7 decades eating a certain way. She started every morning with white toast and butter, maybe a cup of coffee with sugar. Lunch was often a ham sandwich on white bread, sometimes with a small salad if she remembered. Dinner? Always meat and potatoes, with barely any vegetables on the plate. It was the way she had eaten her entire life, and she never questioned it. But now, with her health at risk, she had to change. She wasn't just switching a few ingredients. She was completely rewiring how she thought about food. And at 68 years old, that wasn't easy. Week 1, the struggle of breaking old habits. The first few days were the hardest. She stood in her kitchen, staring at the ingredients she had just bought. Olive oil instead of butter. Brown rice instead of white rice. Salmon instead of steak. Fresh vegetables instead of frozen dinners. It felt overwhelming. She missed her usual foods. She craved something sweet after dinner. And the worst part? Her body wasn't used to these changes. She felt hungrier between meals. She was tempted to grab snacks she had given up. Cooking felt like a chore instead of a pleasure. Can I really do this? She wondered. But she had promised herself 30 days. So she pushed through. And by the end of the first week, something amazing happened. Week 2, the first signs of change. One morning, Margaret woke up and realized something shocking. She felt awake. For the first time in years, she wasn't dragging herself out of bed. She didn't feel the foggy exhaustion that usually followed her all morning. She made her new breakfast. A bowl of Greek yogurt with almonds and fresh berries. A drizzle of honey. a slice of whole grain toast with avocado. And as she ate, she realized, this is actually delicious. The food tasted better than she expected. And more importantly, she felt satisfied. No cravings. No energy crashes. For the first time, she thought, maybe I can actually do this. Week 3, the pain in her joints disappears. For the last 5 years, Margaret's knees had ached constantly. Her doctor told her it was just aging. You're getting older, Margaret. Joint pain is normal. So she accepted it. She took painkillers when it got bad. She stopped kneeling the garden, something she had loved doing all her life. She avoided long walks because it hurt too much. But now, by the 3rd week on the Mediterranean diet, she noticed something shocking. She stood up from the couch, and there was no pain. She bent down to pick something up, her knees didn't ache. She went on a 20-minute walk, and when she got home, she wasn't limping. It didn't feel real. Could food really fix something her doctor said was just aging? Yes. The anti-inflammatory foods she was eating, olive oil, nuts, salmon, vegetables, were actively healing her body. Without realizing it, she had eliminated the biggest sources of inflammation: processed foods, sugar, red meat, refined carbs. And her body was finally recovering. She wasn't just feeling better. She was reversing damage. Month 2, the doctor's reaction. At the 2-month mark, Margaret went in for her follow-up appointment. She was nervous. She felt better, but did the numbers match how she felt? When the doctor looked at her test results, his eyebrows raised in shock. "Margaret, what have you been doing?" Her results were incredible. Cholesterol dropped by 30 points. Blood pressure back to normal. Blood sugar no longer pre-diabetic. Most people need medication to see results like this. But you did it just by changing your diet? Margaret grinned. I guess the Mediterranean diet really works. And that was the moment she knew this wasn't just a diet. This was her new way of life. 4. A new beginning. Margaret had never felt better. She had energy, strength, and confidence, things she thought she had lost forever. But there was one more surprise waiting for her. 1. Inspiring others to change. Margaret's friends started noticing the difference. "Margaret, you look amazing. What's your secret?" At first, she just shared her story. But then, something unexpected happened. Her friends started making changes too. One friend cut out sugar and saw her arthritis improve. Another started cooking with olive oil and noticed fewer headaches. Someone else added more fish and vegetables to their diet and lost 15 pounds. Margaret realized this wasn't just about her. She had the power to help others feel better too. And that's exactly what she did. She started hosting small dinner gatherings, cooking Mediterranean meals, and teaching her friends how to eat for longevity. And one by one, they all started seeing the benefits. Margaret wasn't just living longer. She was helping others do the same. 2. The final test. A year later, Margaret was 74 years old. She was still following the Mediterranean diet, still feeling strong, still living her best life. One day, she was at the park with her granddaughter when the little girl suddenly ran ahead toward the swings. Without thinking, Margaret ran after her. Not walked, not struggled. She ran out, without pain, without hesitation. And that's when she realized she had reversed her aging process. She had given herself more years, more energy, more freedom. All because she made one simple change. She had switched to the Mediterranean diet, and it had saved her life. Margaret's story proves something powerful. It's never too late to change your health. Most people assume that getting older means feeling tired all the time, being in constant pain, losing their ability to move freely. But Margaret's transformation shows that aging doesn't have to be a slow decline. You can stay strong. You can keep your energy. You can protect your heart and brain just by changing what you eat. And the best part? You don't have to wait for a wake-up call to start. If you're feeling tired, weak, or sluggish, maybe your body is asking for a change. Maybe it's time to give the Mediterranean diet a try. It worked for Margaret. It's worked for millions of others. And it can work for you too. If you found this story inspiring, like and follow so you never miss another life-changing lesson. And tell me in the comments, have you ever tried the Mediterranean diet? What was your experience? See you next time. Stay healthy.